My name is Andy Liu. I'm the group CEO of Cellomics. Our company actually was successfully able to get over $100 million in funding. We are a cancer diagnostic company. Company was founded by my good friend Michael Yang from CTU. So anyone who's interested in this space of cancer diagnostics, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Happy to talk more. Now, before we jump into the discussion today, let me just see a quick show of hands. How many people here are directly in the healthcare space currently with the company or, okay. Okay, good. That's quite a large percentage here. So my first advice is this. For all those people who are in this space, if you don't know my three panelists here, definitely come and get their business cards. I assure you they are the most networked people in the healthcare space here in Hong Kong. And so, with us today, we have Carmen Li, who's the head of IQVIA in Hong Kong. We have Gina Jiang, who's the managing director of Hong Kong Institute of BioTechnology, and Jane Li, who's the president of Our Hong Kong Foundation. Now, just in order to kind of get the most value, I won't go through their CVs. They're all online. They're tremendously well experienced and have accomplished quite a lot. So what are we here to talk about today? We're here to talk about three things I'm passionate about: Hong Kong, technology, and healthcare. So let's jump straight into it. So again, Carmen, Gina, Jane, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to start the first question with you, Carmen. And the question is this, we've all talked about healthcare, and we heard what Duncan and Andy Wong spoke earlier today. From your perspective, what are the one or two hot trends that you're seeing in healthcare today? And more importantly, why is it relevant? How is it going to impact us?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Carmen from IQVIA. I'm the country manager of IQVIA Hong Kong. To end this question about hot trends in Hong Kong, I think I would talk a little bit more, from a commercial end user or consumer's point of view because of my expertise. The trend that we can see is definitely enabled by new technology and innovations nowadays. Also include virtual technology, AI applications. Also, we see a increased importance of patient empowerment and patient centricity evolving, around the healthcare ecosystem here. And as well as, most importantly, what Duncan also mentioned about is big data, the importance of big data analytics. So talk a little bit more about patient centricity. Patients now are looking for more, value-based, more transparent, direct, and also a personalized type of healthcare services. Consumers are demanding greater access to healthcare data with a more seamless experience. Just when you think of, they can download or, search for information just within a fingertip on their mobile and also on the apps, And it is observed that the use of telehealth and virtual care is growing at a compound rates during the pandemic. And this trend, I'm sure, will definitely grow prominently in the future. That it lies on a more innovation technology within the healthcare ecosystem. And so, and also the other thing is to talk about big data, healthcare big data, right? Nowadays we can accumulate massive amounts of healthcare data, whether we get it from, electronic health records, patient longitudinal data, patient compliance data, as well as even lifestyle data, If we, by analyzing these type of data, it can definitely help us, to better manage our healthcare, management in terms of proactively drive patient care, identify disease trends, as well as we can apply widely on disease prevention, especially for chronic disease early intervention. So these hot trends are, from what I see, and also are very, very relevant to our daily life as well.
Yeah, it is amazing how data is everywhere now, right? It's hard to talk about healthcare nowadays without someone mentioning data in the next, 2 or 3 sentences, right? Very, very impactful. Gina, over to you. What are your thoughts on the key trends?
I think data, definitely, it's everywhere. They call it black gold. But I want to mention another hot trend is the cell gene therapy. And this trend, I mean, it's besides the estimated global market value that you can find easily in any market report, and almost all of them estimate it to be more than 90 billion by 2030 or more. And as of like December 2022, there are already like 27 approved drugs by US FDA, and there's anticipating about like 10 or 20 more to go by 2030. And if we look at other numbers, like there are currently around the globe, maybe around like 2,000 or 3,000 clinical trials just in this space. And China is trailing number 2. They see the urgency. And if we look at patient number, there's around like 60,000 patients just enrolled in these clinical trials currently. So there's definitely a trend and definitely a need. And why is it relevant? I'll just take 2 stories that like my personal view that has a bigger picture, because currently 2 of the most ready, like one is like stem cell therapy for cartilage repair. Like what does this mean? How is this relevant? For example, athlete, like one of the patients that we have seen before, it's a sprinter and it has a cartilage defect, and what could have been a career-ending disease, because of this therapy, they can extend their athletic career and even have a better outcome. Like you can run faster for these new implants using your own cell to treat your cartilage. And the second one is the one that I'm currently working on right now, building a facility to support life-changing, like CAR T therapy for blood cancer, what could have been a life-ending disease. Right now, because of cell therapy, like these patients, these families could have given another second chance to live. So this is relevant in all levels. And what does it mean to everyday people? If we're not talking about career, if we're not talking life-saving, think about life quality. Like it can improve your life quality using your own cells. So this is definitely a trend that we are seeing, and we are very excited to be in this space. Thank you.
No, thank you. And it is wonderful. I mean, sometimes I've been in this space for a long time as well. You get so caught up in the science and technology, but, you make a really good point. This is how it's impacting people in real world, right? And that's really, really important, and we shouldn't lose sight of that. Jane, over to you. You have a unique experience because you see very broadly, not only in healthcare, but across several other industries as well. But in the healthcare space, what are you seeing? What are trends you're seeing?
Right. Well, thank you, Andy. Well, as a think tank, I'd like to focus on policy trends. And the 2 gentlemen before me, IHK, Andy, Duncan, they have actually mentioned the government policies, and I'm not going to repeat it. But actually, if we look back from the introduction of the policy blueprint late last year to the policy speech this year, we can see very significant change in the policy trends, which is to, first of all, encourage development of biotech investment, not just in terms of opportunities of research, but also commercialization, land supply, which is actually quite a comprehensive, a wide range of policy directions that have been positions and also introduced. And this is one thing. The other, of course, is to make Hong Kong as a key bridge between drugs that would like to enter into China through Hong Kong as well as from China to overseas. So this is actually an important ecosystem that's been built up through this policy introduction. And of course, I think the major implications for such policy changes would be the attraction for flagship companies coming to Hong Kong to invest, develop, and also use this as clinical trial center. And the second policy, which was actually not mentioned this morning, and I think is important as a trend, is the introduction of primary health care since last year, which is also one of the policy blueprints introduced late last year. And primary health care has been actually long neglected by Hong Kong government. And with the introduction of primary health care as a system, the focal point would not just be treatment of patients, but also prevention. And also the encouragement of cross-sector collaboration, not just kind of a focal point on the medical doctor's role, but also collaboration with researchers, future trends, and also with NGOs, social workers, PTOT, cross-sectoral, cross-disciplinary collaboration would emerge very significantly in the years ahead.
No, thank you very much. And again, we're very fortunate today because we have, and again, this is just part of structuring the panel as well. We have someone who's an expertise on the commercial side, on the R&D side, and policy side, right? Sharing relevant key opportunities and themes. Now, my next question, again, I'll start with you this time, Jane. We talked about some of these opportunities, but we're here in Hong Kong, right? A lot of the people are, building companies here in Hong Kong. How is Hong Kong positioned to capture these opportunities that we discussed? And do you know about specific policies and projects that you've seen that you're working on that you can share with the group?
Right, I think, of course, we have actually mentioned quite a few opportunities just now, but if, to supplement what I've just said, I think we have to look at the importance of the ranking of our universities in Hong Kong. We actually have got 2 universities, Chinese Hong Kong U medical schools have actually been ranked, within the 50, globally. And so it is actually important basis for us to further excel our research opportunities. And the second is, of course, the opportunities is commercialization of our research, which has long been neglected. And now it would actually be an important direction. And OHK, our Hong Kong Foundation has actually made an important recommendation, and I'm very glad it's been adopted by the government, which is to set up a clinical research institute between the universities, hospital authorities, and also with the private sector. And I hope this would further become specific developments so that there will genuinely be collaboration, but also much better integration, interaction, and communication between these basically different sectors, but within the sector kind of development. So this is an important point, I think. And we also recommend a one-stop service center to provide centralized research support, and also recommend the Greater Bay Area International Clinical Trial Institute, which is not just to have this set up in Hong Kong, but also building up a network between Hong Kong and the GBA. So I think these are the important opportunities we should grasp in the years to come. Yeah. Thank you.
And I think Jane makes a really good point, right? And for all of you in the different areas, whether you're in education with universities, or in commercial, or in R&D, or statutory bodies, everyone has a role to play to work together to capture these opportunities, right? Not only in Hong Kong, but in Greater Bay Area as well. Gina, over to you. Same question. What are you seeing from a opportunity perspective, specifically for Hong Kong, and what are some of the projects you've seen that you can share with us?
Right. I think I'll focus on one specific, announcement. I think Duncan also mentioned is Hong Kong is planning to establish our own version of FDA, kind of like US FDA, to speed up the development for local drugs. So our city no longer need to depend on other countries to approve drugs, and this move can also attract overseas pharmaceutical companies to move their R&D to Hong Kong. And I think this has a very solid foundation to have that, because rest assured, this will take time, to establish that. But what do we have to make this kind of announcement? For number one is we already have clinical trial center that can attract pharmaceutical companies to conduct multi-center clinical trials here, that this data is approved, and why it recognized and approved worldwide. Yeah. And why is that? Is because our local hospitals follow the guideline and follow international standard, which is very important and a good differential about how are we different from other our neighboring regions. Yeah. So this is already well established, and we have just, like Jane mentioned, we have world-class universities, world-class hospitals here, world-class clinical teams here. So there is a foundation. And second is, what project are we working on? For example, we are building this picks GMP standard advanced therapy product GMP facility in Hong Kong. So setting up this infrastructure to support, we're not eyeing for commercial production yet, but this is a road path to that path. So having an infrastructure ready for clinical trial to manufacture the product here, and then work with the established clinical trial centers and hospitals to support these new drug innovation. So I think this is the very exciting policy that's been announced, and the project that we're working on to support it. Thanks.
It's so exciting, and again, I'm always so impressed with what Gina is working on, because when we're talking about GMP manufacturing, clinical trials, that's the hard stuff, guys, right? That's the really hard stuff, and she's kind of paving the way for Hong Kong to have that in the future, right? So, really, really impressive. Carmen, how about you? What are you seeing?
I totally agree with what you ladies just mentioned. And I think Hong Kong is indeed in a very, very good position right now, because we have, all mentioned about, strong healthcare structure, solid foundation in R&D, government support, international connectivity, regulatory framework, a vibrant ecosystem for healthcare startups. So, and also our unique role in Greater Bay Area. So, I mean, this is a very, very good timing, for us to really stand strong, unite together, and really grab the chance. But I would say, the window is actually not wide, it's narrow. What I say is because not only Hong Kong, with the economy regain and boosting, so not only Hong Kong, but I think also, Asian countries or, around the world, we also grab this chance, to boost this part. So what I see good part is that we see a lot of Hong Kong government policy priorities in this area, putting strong emphasis on innovation and technology. And we can also see, even within these few years, 5, even 10 years, the government has been putting a lot of effort in reform, the innovations. Namely, some of it is like HA Go apps, telemedicine, e-health records. All these are, kind of like breakthrough for Hong Kong, government. But of course, the usage and I think the coverage, I would say, even for e-health record, it says that, about 6 million of Hong Kong citizens already registered, which is 3/4. So it's a very promising number. But then in order to, continue to drive, I think we all need to work together to make Hong Kong a very important innovation hub. And I'm also glad to see, Hospital Authority also announced, also launched some policies with their, data collection, collaboration lab, AI lab, which benefit a lot, for the health, life science sector by having, strong, robust longitudinal data for patients, which we could do research on and also find the white space, to tackle on. Yeah. And so also Jane mentioned about the government's primary healthcare blueprints, which we are all eying on it. It is a very important move. Not only, we can transform the healthcare industry and also improve access to healthcare and enable better patient outcomes as well. So these are, the points that I want to highlight. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. And it's interesting. Whenever I hear you talk about those things, I just, wow, there's so much opportunities here, right? Especially here for Hong Kong. But I think you make a good point. We're not competing against ourselves, right? There are other countries in the region that have fast growth as well. And how do we make sure that we're competitive from that perspective? Now, the next question I have, I kind of want to give the panelists a chance to share about what's important to them, right? Because these are 3 very amazing organizations, right? IQVIA, Hong Kong Institute of Biotechnology, and our Hong Kong Foundation, right? So I'll start with Jane. And again, if you guys are not familiar with our Hong Kong Foundation, you should definitely take a look. It's an amazing organization. I've done some work with them before, and they've, as a think tank, they've put out some really amazing research, especially in the healthcare space. So Jane, tell me a little bit more about our Hong Kong Foundation, and what's important to you and what role it's playing in healthcare, and who you want to reach out to so that people can talk to you about partnership and collaboration.
Thank you, Andy. Well, our Hong Kong Foundation, as I said, is a think tank. We have actually got 9 years of history, and next year will be our 10th anniversary. And the role of think tank is quite interesting, I think. First of all, we are not just a research organization. We focus on policy research, but we also give a lot of emphasis on advocacy. I can see that the strength of our colleagues is to collect, integrate all the stakeholder opinion into the reports, so that all the stakeholders that have been interviewed or be in contact with them feel like their views are there. And therefore, the government actually likes our reports because they can find every of the key important stakeholders' opinion in our research report. And I think this is actually a strength. And the other, of course, is our advocacy. I can see that the media really like to report what we have announced and also advocated. Coming back to this healthcare space, we have actually been working on, announced a few research projects. Last year, we announced the primary healthcare research project and finally become the blueprint of the government. And we also conducted research on strategic purchasing for public and private sector partnership, improvement of mental health services at the community level, and also suggestions for addressing doctoral shortage. And the importance of primary-led kind of healthcare, I think, should be the direction for Hong Kong, not just biotech research, because we should shift from doctor focus, clinical focus to patient focus. That is from clinical treatment to service. And this is something that we have actually been lacking for long in our sectors. Because it's too much hospital authority focus, too much doctor clinical focus. And now if we shift it to community care, shift it to patient care, that will bring us a change in the total landscape of our direction. That is, we would be talking about private-public partnership, medical social collaboration, and opportunities for talent development in various of these areas. So these are actually the things that we've been doing, and I hope we could further collaborate with various sectors, various professionals to continue the advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And again, just to kind of read between the lines, right? Hint, hint to everyone listening. If you want to know about the future and what's to come, Jane is a person to talk to because they're working on the future things, right? So any trends, future opportunities, Jane and our Hong Kong Foundation are probably good groups to get in touch with. Gina, over to you. Hong Kong Institute of Biotechnology, officially launched recently, right? What are you guys doing, and how is it going to be a game changer? I already know that you're doing the really hard stuff, but what's important to you?
Yeah, thanks for this question. I actually enjoyed this question a lot. So what are we doing? HKIB itself, it's been around for quite some time, 35 years. But what has recently been launched is this Advanced Therapy Product Good Manufacturing Practice Center, ATP GMP Center. It is unique because it is a collaboration between Chinese University of Hong Kong and the Hong Kong Science Park. So what this signifies is this is going to be a bridge to foster academic and industry collaboration. So we're kind of like the bridge in between. And as mentioned earlier, this infrastructure will foster and accelerate bringing these research findings through clinical trial and over to commercial scale. So in a way that I always like to use this analogy. What does this facility mean? Think of iPhone. Like when iPhone came out in 2007, it's pretty much like it was a paradigm shift in the way that like we utilize technology, the way we view, say, like online streaming and everything because of this platform. So this ATP GMP Center will serve as that platform that, one, it complies with the most stringent international standard. So everything, like all the product that is being manufactured here can be recognized worldwide. So I think this is, again, one thing that Hong Kong really needs to grasp is holding on to this international standard. And what we are working on through these two big organizations, including HKIB, of course, that we want to make sure that we meet this highest standard and we deliver this platform to our biotech and all the people working in the CGT space. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's interesting, right? Just a quick comment. You know, we talk about R&D, we talk about product, we talk about commercial and all these things. And let's not forget, without manufacturing, you have nothing, okay? And that's why it's so important, and that's what, you know, Gina and Hong Kong Institute of Biotechnology is working on, right? And I think that's something that's been kind of lacking in Hong Kong. Manufacturing is something that's very complex and often not understood, but yet so critical, because if you don't have it, you don't have a product, right? So thank you, Gina. Carmen, over to you. IQVIA, as everyone knows, is obviously one of the largest global data and CRO companies. You have a view of the whole world, right, at IQVIA.
Yes.
What are you seeing in the landscape? What's important to IQVIA? And what are you working on?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, you know, IQVIA work very closely with all the key stakeholders within the healthcare ecosystem. And we actually use data and technology to help them, you know, to use what we call connected intelligence, you know, to help them solve their business issues. So the trend now, of course, you know, for us is also riding on innovations, technology, and also big data. So for our research, you know, we also put a lot of focuses in using, you know, AI intelligent type of like machine learning, you know, to help them to unlock some of the underlying issues that cannot be found within the traditional or conventional type of research. And also, for your information, even for clinical trial, you know, we are expert on that. We also launched, you know, a kind of like virtual clinical trials which echo back, you know, patients nowadays are very, you know, centricity and empowerment. So for even doing clinical trial, we also have to use virtually so that patients are being informed anytime and anywhere. And this could also, you know, unlock some of the underlying treatment issues or, you know, the usage problems, you know, that we can find, you know. So, I mean, big data, technology, innovations are an inevitable part, you know, for our healthcare ecosystem. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. So I know we're running close on time right now, and so I just want to do a quick recap, right? You know, we talked about big data. We talked about, you know, cell therapy. We talked about kind of primary care. A tremendous amount of opportunities here in Hong Kong, right? And I think my closing remarks are really for the audience here that's working in this space. Keep in mind a few things, right? One, as Duncan said, it is up to you guys, right? You, without the audience here driving and creating the companies and doing work, there, you know, we would be nowhere. But keep in mind that there's a lot of opportunities in the spaces that our panelists mentioned today. But also keep in mind that in Hong Kong, with GBA and with all the things that we're working on, especially with a lot of the new government policies, it is a very vibrant healthcare ecosystem and a tremendous amount of opportunities, right? So again, I encourage all of you to partner together. Please come and, if I were you, I would definitely come up and grab the business cards from the three panelists and find time to continue to network and help us grow the Hong Kong healthcare ecosystem. So with that, I want to thank you, all three of you, once again,
Thank you.
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.